And welcome back to another episode of Motivate with Coach Camp. I, of course, am your host, Coach Camp, and we are down here in these incredibly amazing studios of SRP with Mr. Derek Michaud. So for this week's episode, I thought, man, let's just mix it up a little bit. We have, I've covered a spectrum of topics, individuals. You guys, if y'all tuned in last week, you know, we talked about women's health. Well, this week, I thought this would be really cool to have this gentleman on and talk about his career path, why he chose this and what he's doing. If you guys have ever watched rodeo on TV or you've been to one in person, I think we can all agree on one thing. You cannot be a wimp and be in the rodeo. You're going to have to be kind of tough. That's where they get the expression cowboy up, I do believe. You're going to have to really toughen up. Well, this gentleman here, his mom reaches out to me. She's like, hey, look, my son, he's a pro rodeo guy. He rides bulls. And I'm like, that sounds pretty awesome. Let's see if he would come into the studio. So this week, that is our guest, Mr. Lucas Mooningham. He is a professional bull rider right here in the local area, northern Mississippi. He's come into the studio. I know you guys are going to get a lot out of this. It's it's not every day you get to meet a professional bull rider. So without further ado, at this moment, let's introduce to you Mr. Lucas Mooningham. How are you doing, sir?
I'm pretty good.
Man, thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So let's dive into some of this for a minute. First, let's start with where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Grew up here in North Mississippi.
Okay.
Independence.
Independence,
Went to high school there, elementary, middle school.
Okay.
Pretty much grew up here for most of my life. It was, I think we moved here from North Carolina when I was like 7, but it's mainly where I'm from.
Yeah, what part of North Carolina?
East Coast, over kind of towards the Outer Banks.
Okay. I spent almost 3 years in North Carolina. I was at Goldsboro, North Carolina. I was in the Air Force out there.
About 2 hours from us.
Okay. Yeah. There's nothing there.
Yeah, not much.
There's not much going on right now.
Yeah.
So they called it Mayberry back in the day. So that's kind of what it was, pretty much. You had to go to the coast if you wanted to see some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you grew up here in the North Mississippi area. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I got a sister. She's out in North Carolina. That's where my mom and dad lives. And I got a half sister in Huntsville, Alabama.
So at 7, what brought you to this side of town?
I was just young, and I guess I had to pack up and go wherever my parents went at that time.
And so did they move back there?
Yeah, they live there now. And we moved back there when I was like my senior year of high school, and that's kind of when I finished school is when I moved back here.
So here in real time, for those of you watching, and you know, when this airs, it's been quite a bit more time since then, but currently right now, they just got hit pretty hard. The west side of North Carolina got hit with the hurricane, Helene. Did you have any friends or family on that side of town?
I know some people that live out, maybe not as far west as it hit, but kind of like Statesville area. I know some people around there, but I don't know if it hit them pretty bad or not. Many
prayers for those folks, man. It is, and that didn't know that part about you, but that's a real life, real time tragedy that's going on as we're here in the studio talking about that. So, growing up here, you had the sister. She older or younger?
She's older. I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest. What was kind of life like growing up? Did you guys have certain interests, hobbies? What did y'all do?
I mean, one day we might be good, and the next day it might be a brother and sister type of thing.
What's the age range?
She's 29, I think. I'm 26.
Okay, so 3 years difference.
Yeah.
So she beat you up some?
Sometimes.
That's all right. Probably made you tough.
Yeah, she made me a little bit tougher.
Part of that. So what was y'all's hobbies? What was yours? You played baseball, football?
Yeah, I played baseball for Independence and played it growing up. Pretty much that's the only sport I ever really played, and she played softball.
What position you play?
I was shortstop, pitcher, catcher.
Oh, it's a little bit of everything.
I like playing about anywhere on the field.
Gotcha. So baseball's my thing.
Right.
So it's like I can connect with you there. Yeah. Where we're going next, I cannot connect with you, sir. My stories are very limited when we get to the bull riding side of things, right? But I just wanted to kind of get a little bit of a background of what life was like for you growing up and what your interests were. When you were young, did you have an idea about what you may want to do when you grew up?
It was always being a baseball player.
Okay.
And then, bull riding was always kind of on my mind growing up. I just never had nowhere to go to do it. And I was around horses my whole life. Like my dad trained walking horses. So, but I never knew where to go. So it was always really baseball.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. So obviously to be involved in the rodeo, what you just said is very true. You have to have opportunities. Baseball, pretty easy to find a ball field. If you live in a decent sized city, there's going to be leagues that you can join, right? So it's a little bit more accessible. But when you start talking about farm stuff, whether you're riding horses, you're riding bulls or whatever. Did you get opportunities as a young person to get involved in that more than just riding horses? Did you do like the sheep rides or any of that stuff? And they have like the little britches tours and all that.
No, I didn't. Really, it was just started out when I was 17. And I just got on big bulls from the start.
So you were kind of older then to get involved, right?
Yeah, I started a little bit older.
Yeah, so I had a guest on before, Mr. Davey Ross. He was a professional Bronco rider, and he talked about the age of 5 he had a love for the radio.
Yeah,
he was listening to the radio. He fell in love with the rodeo, is what I meant to say. Listening to the radio, see how those things are interchangeable.
Yeah.
And so he just followed that path straight out the get go. But at 17, 18, you make the decision. I'm going to ride bulls. What influenced that? Did you have family members involved?
No, I didn't. Like I said, I was around horses my whole life, but and it was always in the back of my mind to do it. And I had a buddy I went to school with, and his brother bull fought. He used to ride bulls, but he was about to start bullfighting, and so
bullfighting like over in Spain with the red thing and the ole.
No, just kind of like Cowboy protection, like he was there to get the bull's attention, take him away.
Sorry if that sounded crazy, but when you say bull, I think about the Olay guys in the Spain and they got the outfits. So he was doing like the clown stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. We both started the same day. When he started bullfighting was the first day I started riding. It was the first time I got on.
So what's that conversation like? How old you said, 17?
Yep.
You go home, you say, hey, Mom, guess what? I got an idea. Okay. Some of my friends, they wanted to buy a motorcycle. I was thinking I would like to ride a bull.
She wasn't really expecting it, and my dad wasn't either, but I was kind of getting to the age to where I was, trying to do something, and I always wanted to do it. And my dad thought, we'll take him down here and he'll get on and we'll get this out of the way. He
figured it's kind of like that kid that wants to smoke a cigarette. Dad's like, give him a cigarette, see what happens. When he throws up, he ain't gonna want it anymore.
Yeah, he was like, we'll get this knocked out.
Yeah.
And but I mean, the first one I rode him about 6-7 seconds, and then the next one he threw me about 6 feet in the air when I came off of him, and I told my dad, I was like, that didn't bother me. It's what I want to do.
Oh, he's probably like, dang it.
Yeah, he was like, well,
that sucks.
Yeah.
So, was there an influence? Was there a person like, I know for me, all right, so baseball was my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Don Mattingly was my guy. Right. Like when I was a kid, I wanted to grow up and be Don Mattingly. That was the guy I wanted to be a baseball player like. So, was there a bull rider that you found that you were like, hey, this guy's awesome. I want to do that? I mean, was there an influence there?
Not really. It's just, like I said, it's just something.
Riding the horses drew you to the bulls.
I really wanted to do. I mean, I always wanted to ride with those people.
Yeah.
And I knew, I had to work to get there.
Right.
To ride against those people.
Yeah.
So that was my goal, really, just to be at the biggest level I could get to.
That's just fascinating to me. And what's fascinating about it is it's not something you had done. It's not something you had family members that did. Mm-hmm. You didn't know somebody in the circuit. But that was the thing that you knew you wanted to do immediately. Because like I would tell you, full disclosure, guys, I have a little small farm. All right. It's 8 acres. And all my life I'd grown up in a suburb. Okay. We had dogs. That was about it. We had a couple dogs. That was about the extent, and a few fish a couple times. And I thought, man, I want a farm. I want cows and horses and chickens and sheep, and I want this whole big thing and dogs and stuff. And we started accumulating those things. Now, Lucas, it's fun at first. And then all of a sudden I found it to be a lot of stinking work.
It's expensive too.
It's expensive. It required time that I didn't always have. And then things happen. There's a breach in the fence. Now you got to go chase your horses down, or, something's sick or injured. And now you got to try to either fix it yourself or get a vet out there, which is expensive. Yeah. And so my love for the idea of a farm life started to dwindle within the first couple years. Yeah. And I realized this is a lot more work than I anticipated. So now we still have a horse, a cow, and a handful of chickens and some dogs, but it's nothing to the magnitude that we once had.
Yeah.
So for you, not even having an idea, did you even at least get on a mechanical bull?
Oh, they had a mechanical bull at the college in Northwest.
Okay.
They had like a room where you could go in there and get on it. I mean, I got on one a couple times every now and then, but it's mainly just bulls. Like I just got on.
So when you get on the mechanical bull, how do you do on it?
I mean,
do you stay on? I'm asking for a real reason here.
I did, but it's a lot different, it doesn't have the same movements as a bull.
Not at all. And depending on who's controlling that thing,
Right,
it's a very intentional to throw you.
And it's hard to, get a hold to. I think riding a bull is actually kind of easier to learn.
Isn't that
than
interesting?
Getting on a mechanical bull, in my opinion.
Multiple times throughout my life, up until, I don't know, probably 5 years ago, I won't do it now. I break easy and I don't heal quick. But I got on mechanical bulls. I probably lasted 3 seconds as my max time ever. Those things are not easy to hold on to. And what I found was, and this was people giving me some coaching, I guess you could call, was that it's a lot of leg. You like really got to squeeze with your knees to hold on. Is that true for a real bull?
Yeah, your legs is really the main thing of it, because you got to keep your weight down on them. You got to use them to shift your weight or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like your legs and your core is really the main thing. I tell people your hands just holding on. And it's basically your weight, your balance, your legs, strength, your ab strength, stuff like that.
So what's the training like for that? Do you do a lot of squats?
I used to, or I've been starting to, but I used to not to. Mm-hmm. And back in, I guess, May, I went out to a JB Mooney's ranch and got on for the PBR combines for all the coaches to watch and see if you get drafted. And I actually tore my groin out there.
Oh, dang.
And I tore my muscles off my tendons. And so it put me out for about 2.5 months. And I came back, got on about 10 bulls, and I just wasn't riding good for nothing. And I never worked my leg out, never tried to get it back in shape or anything. And so I was like, I'm going to start working out.
Okay.
And it's been helping me here lately. So I'm kind of on the side of working out, especially when I'm getting to this age now.
Yeah. And what is this age now, if you don't mind me asking?
26.
26.
Yeah, so now I'm getting to a point where I kind of need to take care of my body.
Is that getting old for a bull rider?
I mean, you got some do it to about 35, but I mean, it's getting on up there.
Yeah. There was a Brazilian guy that was like 41.
Yeah.
The last time I went to the I guess it was PBR that was in the FedEx Forum.
Yeah. I think I know which one you're talking about. I can't remember his name, but.
Yeah, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't remember.
He rode it for 8 seconds one of the times. So.
But he's like one of the oldest guys that was on tour.
41. They acted like he was ancient. Yeah. I mean, like the crowd reaction, I'm like, bro, I'm 10 years older than him. What are they going to do? It's like I can walk up the stairs, I guess, so they'll clap for that. I don't know. But that is insane at 41 to think about being thrown around like that.
Yeah, I don't plan on doing it at 41.
Yeah. So at 17, you make this decision, and we're going to get back to the injuries because that's one of the questions I got to ask about. But at 17, you make the decision, you get out there, you ride it for 6, 7 seconds. Next time you get thrown, doesn't hurt you, or at least it doesn't scare you. Where does it go from that day forward? Is it like, this is what I want to do? How do you sign up? How do you start that process?
You just basically find where the rodeos are at, or, somebody tell you about it, and you got a phone number you'll call, and, you'll say, hey, I want to enter this deal, and they'll write you down.
So even as an amateur, you can just start?
Yeah, well, some places you got to have a membership, like for the PRCA, you got to have a membership, or some PBRs you can get in locally. Mm-hmm. And with some PRCAs, you can get in locally. But, they have a lot of amateur deals to where you can just enter anybody, a local guy.
So at that moment, when you did your first one, how regular is it that you start riding? Is it like every weekend or?
Yeah, at the beginning it was kind of about once a week, and might take a week off. And I was new into it, so I was trying to find places to go. And so, like I said, we moved to North Carolina, and that was real hard on the East Coast. There's no rodeo out there, and we found a place to go. It was only one place, and they were good people. And it's where I won my first buckle and all that. Kind of did it on my own, riding horses bareback. But
so you were bareback riding too?
No, I was just riding horses. If you ride a horse bareback, it helps.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's kind of like training.
Yeah, it's a training thing.
Gotcha.
It works out your legs and balance and all that.
Sure. So then when you win your first buckle, is it like it's like the taste of blood now? You feel like I got to do this for a career.
Especially from nobody teaching me at that time. I was just kind of on my own and doing what I was seeing that I could do.
That is remarkable, to be quite honest with you. I think a lot of people probably put barriers up in front of themselves about what they can't accomplish because they've never done something. And it sounds to me like the challenge intrigued you just as much as actually the accomplishment of something. Right. Just the idea that you could do it without even having any validity. So you didn't have any practice, you didn't have any training. You just got out there and started doing it. And then your own personal watching other people do stuff got you better. So you're 26, so you did kind of grow up in the YouTube era. Did you watch a lot of YouTube videos?
I'd watch like a lot of guys ride. Like I'd see how
on
they
YouTube
ride.
and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much, or on their social media or something.
Yeah, I'm using that because that's the generation we're in now.
Yeah,
like when I grew up, you had to go to the place.
Yeah.
Or see it, catch it on TV if it happened to be on TV for a minute. And it was in black and white. So, just to let you know, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I watched a few people, and mainly, the more you watch people and there's riding bulls, if you see them riding for the full 8 seconds, the more you're around that, the more you're going to learn about it, in my opinion.
That makes perfect sense.
Not like baseball. If you're around, those guys that are good, you're going to end up being like one of them.
Absolutely. Growing up, we didn't have all the specialized, travel teams and individual private lessons like that is out there today. How I got better was watching baseball on TV and trying to emulate the things I saw when I went outside and played. So you're right about that. Well, you get into it, 17 years old, 18 years old, you win your first buckle. At some point, you sustain a first injury because you don't ride bulls and not get hurt. So what's the first injury like for you?
I got ran over a couple times and stepped on, but it was nothing bad. Really, like I said, my groin.
That was the first major injury?
Yeah, and that was just this year.
Wow.
So I went a few years without having to actually sit on the sidelines and not be able to call on the weekends and enter some deals. And it felt different. I was ready to get back at it. And but that's been my only injury.
Major injury, yeah. No broken bones?
No,
that's incredible. I'm not jinxing you. I don't believe in jinxing, by the way, but that is incredible because, depending on the type of sport you play, there are expected, like if you're a pitcher in baseball, you expect to have shoulder and elbow issues at some point in your life.
Yeah.
That's just part of the game, right?
Yeah.
And so for bull riding, it's rough. It can be rough.
It is.
Is there a certain way that you learned how to fall? Because the truth is you're going to get bucked off at some point. Is there a technique to it?
Yeah. You're riding, and you hear the whistle go off. Mainly, if you can try and stay on and find you a spot, wherever you turn your head is about where you're going to go to.
Interesting. Okay.
So, and if you can grab the tail of your rope, that keeps your hand from getting hung up or anything like that. But, there's a lot of times you'll see guys riding, they'll just get thrown off of him. The harder the bull bucks, he'll throw you further off of him. Mm-hmm. If he don't buck that hard and you jump off, you're probably going to land right beside him. He might not be mean or nothing. But, a lot of guys, they'll turn their head and kind of find a spot to look over their shoulder. And wherever their eyes are going, that's really where their body's going to go.
That is interesting.
So,
I guess I haven't been thrown a lot, so I wouldn't think about that.
It's the same way as riding a bull. You got to look at the middle of their back. That's where you're supposed to be looking. Mm-hmm. And, but if he's going this way and you're looking that way, a lot of times you're going to, go that way. You know
what makes sense? I like to correlate conversation to what I can understand. So I use analogies sometimes, or I use cross-related material. And what you're saying actually makes a lot of sense in the baseball realm. Where your head goes, that's where your bat's going to go. So if you're swinging and you're pulling your head back here, you're going to miss the ball. You're way off of it. So you got to keep your head in there on it to be able to follow through. Makes perfect sense, man. I don't know if there's baseball players out there that now are thinking I can bull ride, but there's probably more to it. But that is a unique technique aspect to it. What are some of the other things that a person may not know? Because I really know nothing other than, like I said, those mechanical bull moments. What's some other things that maybe you had to work on or you found to be beneficial as you grew?
Really just put my time into it. Like, if you're a young guy, 17 years old, and really, like, you need to get on as many bulls as you can, to just learn. You can't just do it every now and then and expect to learn something like this, which is anything.
Yeah.
You can't just do it and then every now and then pick up the glove or pick up my bull rope and go get on every now and then.
Right.
You got to put your time into it, and you're going to take some shots, and you're going to get thrown on the ground. You're going to get ran over. But you got to look past all that.
It's a 2,000-pound animal.
Yeah, sooner or later, if you want it bad enough and you try hard enough, you'll end up getting it. You just got to go through all the stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that's the walk of anything, right? You're going to take your knocks. Of course, this is probably a little bit harder knocks, nevertheless. Yeah. One thing that Davey said that I found interesting was like the first time he was young, he got knocked off and he started out bull riding and he broke his arm. He was right back out there the same week with a cast on,
right?
Trying to ride.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, so it's like there has to be a level of toughness that is. It's the mindset.
Yeah.
It is mentality. Did you always have that?
Yeah, it's toughness is a part of it. you got to take your shots and go on with it because it's not, it's not an easy sport.
Mm-mm.
And I mean, when you show up, you don't get paid unless you ride your bull. So sometimes you just got to tough it out through it and keep going. But I mean, when you're hurt and you need to kind of, slack off a little bit, then that's good to know too.
You got to be in tune, right? So it's just like anything, any sport. If you have an injury, if you don't address the injury, it's just going to get worse, and that's going to put you on the sideline longer. So that makes perfect sense. Help me out with this. If this sounds dumb, please forgive me. In the bull realm, are there like levels like in baseball where you have like single A, double A, triple A, major leagues?
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Are the bulls less aggressive? Are they bigger? I mean, what is the tiered system of bull riding?
I mean, I've been to 1,000 headed bull riding and been 90 points, and I've been to 15,000 headed bull riding and been on a practice bull. So it really just all depends where you go to. Some people, though, if it's, a smaller deal, they'll just bring some good bulls that people want to ride, and, you work your way up. Just, you got like amateur levels, and then you got the IPRA.
Okay, so there's the differential naming, right?
Yeah.
So so talk about that.
So there's like different associations in it. So you got the IPRA, the International Professional Rodeo Association. It's it's like, I guess, like a minor league thing for some guys. Like, you can be an amateur and enter locally in it, but it's somewhere good to learn to start off somewhere. And then you got the PRCAS, Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association, and that's what I do. And you got small rodeos and then you got big rodeos, but they're all year round. I mean, they're going all year long. Then really you got the PBR. That's where you're probably gonna get on a good one every time there.
Yeah. So those bulls, they are big money. The ones that are known for throwing the riders.
Yeah, they pay some big money for some of them bulls, like some real big money.
So tell me about how you end up. So when you go to a competition, how do you end up with your bull? Is there like a card pulling process?
Yeah, they put it in a draw on the computer, I think, something like that, and they hit random or they pull it out of a hat for you, put it by your name, and that's what you got. Sometimes they let you draw it yourself. You stick your hand in there and see what you got.
Okay.
So, and then sometimes, very rarely, do you get to pick your bull, but that's usually when there's like 2 rounds, like a short round. They take 8 guys back, and then you can pick your bull. Sometimes they'll let you do that there, but then sometimes they'll draw it for you too.
Okay, so we're getting down the road now. We're getting some stuff in here. I had a lot of questions about this, so I was like, I really want to get some blanks filled in that I question. So this part I want to share with you. My first experience of bull riding was in 2020. I had seen it on TV a few times. I had never been to one.
Right.
So watching it on TV doesn't give you the same feel. To put this into another perspective, I'd seen horse racing on TV from the Kentucky Derby on. The first time I went to a horse race and stood down close, and you can feel the power of those horses when they run by you.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
It's just...
It's totally different from TV to real life.
So much so.
Yeah.
So in 2020, I had an exchange student from Brazil, and I just know that there is a lot of Brazilian bull riders.
Yeah.
They probably do other stuff too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're good in the Olympics, but I see a lot of Brazilian bull riders, and I thought, hey, this would be cool. She's never been to a bull ride. I've never been to one. And they had the PBR coming to the FedEx Forum.
Yeah.
So I take her. Lucas, I'm telling you, man, this was me every ride. I was like, oh my God. I was on the edge of my seat every single time they opened those gates.
Yeah.
Dude, I can understand why a person falls in love with watching it, because it's like watching complete chaos for 8 seconds, if they're lucky enough to go 8 seconds. Yeah. And your heart stops when something happens and the person's hurt. A couple times people were unconscious. Thankfully, they were just knocked out for a minute, and then they got them up and got them off the thing. But, it's like, it is adrenaline pumping from the seats.
Yeah.
Now, Lucas, share with my people all across the world, what's it like the first time you saddle up? You're in that little, what is it called? Is it just the gate?
The chute.
The chute. I knew that. They're in the chute, and I see them sometimes, man. They're jumping all over the place. They're pinning the guy's leg. They're trying to get it right. What is that like? What is the heart rate like in that moment?
Sometimes it's, it gets pretty crazy in there, and your heart get to racing, adrenaline get to going. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you got it on your mind, then you got it on your mind. And I mean, you get nervous right before, and when they run them in there, the closer he gets, the more nervous it gets, depending where you're at, depending what bull you have. Because you can look them up in like the PRCA and PBR, you can look them up or you already know them. You know, if he's a real good one, it's like, all right, well, here we go. This is the one I got. So, is
that what you want? Do you want the tough ones? You're going to score higher, obviously.
You're going to win on him for sure, no doubt. But I mean, and it, you know, also can show who you are, how good you can ride. But then also depends on the people who are there. If you want the best one, if you got all those good guys there, then
you need it.
Yeah, you really need it. So, you know, you're already halfway there. If you got him, now you're the other half.
You just got to hold on.
Yeah, you got to try. You got to try as hard as you can.
Yeah. So what? The first time that you ride and you win something and you win prize money, what is that feeling like for you? And what is the family atmosphere? Because I'm thinking about it from the perspective of a father now. I see my son striving. He's struggling. He's going through the ranks. He's taking his knocks. And then the day of validation comes and you win. What was that? How could you put that into words for people?
Like I always got told, you know, the money just comes along with it.
Okay.
You just got to do your part in it. Have fun while you're doing it, and the money will come. Just like anything, honestly, I use it. Bull riding is, you know, it's like life. It all comes with it. Life gets hard. Bull riding gets hard. Everything, you know, everything gets hard.
Yeah.
But sooner or later, like I said, if you just keep going, keep trying, it all comes with it.
Yeah.
It'll end up falling into your lap. You just can't give up at all.
So I think that's a good point too. Is the fact that you mentioned. It's more of a byproduct of the process. The money is the byproduct of chasing the dream.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you're putting the time in and you have the love and the passion, which I think you need to have that if you're going to pursue something that's extremely difficult. It's going to require a lot of you. And I like the fact, too, that you use that as a life analogy.
Yeah.
You know, so often, and I speak in generality sometimes, but I think it's really true. We end up in our own space where we're going through the motions. We wake up, we go through the motions, we go to bed, we wake up, we go through the motions. And it's just like, you don't feel like that there's meaning there.
Yeah.
But when you actually do connect with something that is heartfelt, it is passionate, it may require a ton from you. It may have a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're doing it for the love of the thing you're doing. And then the money is the byproduct. It's not the center focus.
Yeah.
And so for you, I mean, obviously you talked about how at 17 you liked it. And then when you got on the first bull, you knew this is what you wanted to do. How old were you when you won your first prize?
Well, I mean, I guess my first rodeo I ever entered, I rode my bull. And it was just a little amateur local deal. And that's kind of how it was. And when I got to the PRCA, I guess my biggest win, they have a finals down in Florida. I think I had like food poisoning when I went down there.
Oh, no, man.
And so I went down there and like I said, it's my first year pro rodeoing in the professional league. And I went down there and they could tell I was sick. And it's like, well, you at least got to get on one bull to get your jacket, this and that. And like I said, I was like, all right, well, I'll get on him. Well, I got on him and ended up winning the round.
Holy moly.
I felt terrible. And then, you know, I won some money.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next night, I felt a little bit better, and I was coming around. I ended up winning the second night. And then by the third night, you know, for some reason, I felt good. But that was about the biggest time I won at first. And then, I mean, there's so many more. You know, nothing huge besides one out in California I won. But I won the Southeast Circuit Finals. So, I mean, I've won a few.
Yeah.
I still got some on my bucket list. But, you know, there's a few I've won that I can put my name beside.
So what's a rodeo you haven't been in yet that you want to make sure you ride before your days are up?
Well, obviously the NFR at the end of the year, you know, the World Finals. That's really what I want to go to at least one time in my career. And, you know, I'd like to enter Houston, Texas, or Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'd like to enter those because there's one Pendleton Roundup. I've entered it. I've been there, and like the Salinas, California, that's the one I won. That's another big one. So, I mean, I'd like to go back to them, but like Houston and Cheyenne, those I'd like to go to. I haven't been to them yet.
Do you have to qualify to get into them?
Yeah. You kind of got to be up in the standings for them to take you, though. So, like, I guess it's like you at least need to be in the top 40 or 50 to at least be able to be sure you got a spot in it.
Okay, let's go that road for a second because that's an interesting point, too. I do endurance races. And so to be a part of if I was going to do a triathlon, to be a part of certain races, you have to qualify from a different race. And so there's timelines, time perimeters that you have to be within. And you sometimes have to have so many types of those races to qualify to get into it. So in the PBR area where the top pros ride, what is that path like to be able to get qualified to get into those big name races?
It's
big
tough.
name rides.
It's tough to like get into them because you got so many other guys you're going up against.
How many like rodeos would you have to go through to really put yourself in position?
So
like, do you have to win a certain amount during a year? Do you have to ride in a certain amount during a year?
Yeah, it helps in like your qualifications and how much money you win throughout the year. It helps you get into bigger rodeos, so, they see you've been going places. They see you've been winning money. So they, there's a chance you can get in, a better chance you can get in because you always can get drawn out.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got a good chance if you got some qualifications and you're in the top 50, you can about get into anything you want to.
So how do you put yourself into these positions? Are you just constantly looking through the internet as to what the next race is that you can sign up for, and then you responsible to travel out there and do it?
Yeah, they got a schedule and you just go through it.
Okay.
And see where they're at. They're the same ones every year and they'll add some new ones every now and then, or sometimes they'll get rid of some, but there's a schedule all year long. Like right now, it's the new year just started for the PRCA, but I'm going to wait till about January, February to start going through there, seeing where I can go, kind of take a break.
That was one thing I found interesting by Davey was when I was asking this, I was thinking, well, they probably just have one every weekend. Apparently, you can go to multiples a week.
Oh, yeah.
I think he said at one time the most he had ridden in 1 week was 9.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, they got, during the summer run, they'll have it's a rodeo each day for 100 days at least. And you can sometimes they hit 2 of them in one day, but it's a steady race because if you're not out there, the standings, they just go up and down. And,
oh, my God.
Somebody would be number 1 this week, and 2 days later, somebody else would be number 1.
Look, it's blowing my mind. So as much as anything, I'm enthralled by this whole conversation. Hearing the things you're saying here is a lot of stuff that I know. I say most people don't know unless they're involved in the rodeo itself. Yeah. I know if I ride I have one of those tri bikes.
Yeah.
And if I haven't ridden in a minute and I get on and I ride for a long time, 30, 40, 50 miles, my undercarriage, pretty sore.
Yeah.
You find yourself in this. I imagine if you're riding a bull consistently, how do you mitigate that? You just got to grit it out?
Yeah, I mean, you get sore because I think the most I've ever been to is like 4 in a week, I guess. And I mean, about the fourth one, about the third one, actually, your body starts to kind of feel it.
Do you do like ice baths and stuff?
No, I don't. I've always thought about getting into it, but I've never done anything like that. I'm just mainly trying to stay in shape now at this point in my life.
Yeah.
And try to stretch if I can remember to go out there and stretch my legs. Sometimes I just forget and get on. So mainly that's just all it is.
Yeah. Well, I was curious about something else. So who's the biggest names that you've ridden with or alongside of?
I mean, I've been some places where JB Mooney is, been some places where Sage Kimsey's rode, Kai Hamilton, Stetson Wright. I mean, I've been around all those guys, and like I said, that when you get to that level, it makes you feel better about yourself, especially not coming from a rodeo family.
Yeah.
And all those guys, majority of all those guys come from a rodeo family. And, when you get there to that level and you get to be with those guys back there behind the bucking chutes or something, it's a different type of feeling,
Yeah.
You're still a little nervous and stuff, but it really all goes away because you're back here with these guys.
Yeah. Are there like mentor moments? Do these guys, because I put it this way. I've had friends that's played professional sports in football, baseball, different areas, and they do talk about how the veterans play a huge role in their growth and their progress in the sport itself. So is that kind of the same thing in the bull riding industry? Are they like encouraging the young guys? Are they giving you guys pointers, of mentoring you?
Yeah, definitely. When they give you some advice, you listen.
I would imagine.
And, even if they're just pulling your bull rope, giving you a spot to make sure you're safe and giving you some motivational influence speeches while you're on the back of them before you nod your head, that all that just helps because like I said, you just got those guys right there helping you. And it just makes you feel better, makes you feel different. You might do good, you might not, but still so they might do good and they might not, but it makes you feel a whole lot better.
You ever accidentally nod and you weren't ready?
Oh, there was one time I was getting on in Florida and he was leaning on my right leg. And they was like, "You want me to push him over?" And I just shook my head, yeah. And
they mistook that.
I heard them open the gate, and everybody's yelling, "No, no, no!" And they opened the gate, and I ended up riding him. But he's just a good bull. But when he jumped out there, I was like, "Oh man, now I got to do something." And so I stayed on him. But yes, that's happened to me before.
Do you know the number of 8-second rides you've had?
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm gonna say I probably bucked off more than I've ridden.
I think that's probably common.
Yeah, there's a time like this past couple months, I think I rode like the most I ever rode in a row was like 14. So I mean that's the most I've ever gotten in a row. But like I said, yeah, I think I've probably bucked off more than I've rode, honestly. I
would believe that's probably the norm.
Yeah.
Going back to baseball, if you fail 30% of the time or 70% of the time, you're only successful 30% of the time at the plate, you're considered a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably going to strike out more than you
100% you are.
Throughout your career.
Unless you're Tony Gwynn. That's about the only exception in the world, right?
Same.
So, I mean, that comes with the territory for sure. I think that for the most part, any sport, you're going to fail a lot more than you're going to be successful. But that's the part of the sport that I think you should relate to life. I think in life too often we fear the sense of failure in whatever that is, whether it's a job, education, you name it. People hold themselves back instead of progressing. And the truth is you never grow and you never get better if you don't risk failure. And I think that your sport speaks to that for sure. Yeah. Have you ever had any kind of like shoulder injuries or anything? Just trying to hold on?
Nah, nothing like that. Just
the leg injury.
Yeah, that's my main thing I've ever had.
Where you at right now with that?
With my leg?
Yeah.
It feels good. I have to keep it wrapped, and I try and do some lunges or squats or something with it. But, I mean, it's been feeling good here lately.
When's your next ride?
Tomorrow night in Nebraska.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm going to leave out there tonight and get there tomorrow, and I'm going to come back home probably right after that. Then that'll be my last one for the year until about about February or March. And so I don't really know where I'll start at then. I have to look at the schedule, but it's about the end of the year now.
Where is it going to be, Omaha?
Yep, that's exactly where it's at. They're Wrigley Field. They're doing it on a baseball field, actually.
How about that?
Yeah, so it's my first time being on a baseball field. They've done it several times, but I've never been on a baseball field and road.
So it's almost like you're blending the two loves you have.
Pretty much, yeah. I grew up playing baseball. Now I'm going to go ride a bull on a field.
Well, maybe you'll hit a home run. See how I did that? See how I did that right there? Yeah. Are you flying up?
No, we're going to drive. I got a buddy that's going to go with me.
I think it's about 8 hours or something.
I think it's like 10.
Is it 10?
Yeah, but I mean, that's...
I drove it a while back, so you're leaving today.
Yeah, tonight.
Listen to this, guys. This young man has come down here to the studio to do his interview, and then he's leaving straight out to go ride a bull.
Yep, that's basically what your life consists of when you're doing it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of driving. I've drove to California one time when I won it and drove out there.
Wow.
I drove out there twice, so it's a lot of driving.
You got to have a good car then.
Oh, yeah. Or at least a good mechanic.
Or a good mechanic. One of the two for sure. I mean, that's, yes. Well, then whenever you're doing these trips and you're planning these trips ahead of time, how much money pre-planning does that go into as far as like making trips? Because I've done a lot of road trips. You got hotel stays.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you have sponsors for that stuff?
I don't. It all comes out of my pocket. And, like I get on there and see how much the injury fees are going to be. I'll take some money out, put it to the side, and I know about however far it is, how many tanks of gas it'll take, and wherever I'm going, I don't know the gas price, but I take a little bit. How much it costs to fill my truck up here? It's about what I'll take, and then I'll take a little extra.
If you're going to California, take about 3 times that about.
Yeah, it does.
I was just in Oakland a couple weeks ago. It was like $6 a gallon of gas.
Oh yeah, we was coming home from there one time, and I had to get some gas. We pulled over, and it was like 6 or 7. I was like, we'll just go to the next one. I don't care if it's 4. We'll go to the next one.
Keep your fingers crossed. Yeah. We're still going. We can ride a horse if we need to, right? Yeah. So you got that under your belt. Yeah. All right. So this is the next part here that I have to mention, because we live our lives, and a lot of times we will see what we want to become. We'll have our vision and we'll have our goals, and we put a lot of stuff into that. But then at some point, most of us will end up with a significant other, and then it's no longer just about you.
Yeah.
Now you have to consider the bigger spectrum, whether it's just a wife or husband, then you got kids, then you got these other things. And what I do know about you is you recently got engaged, right?
Yeah. Well, I've been engaged for a while, and I've been trying to just get a step ahead. That's my main thing. My fiance, I've known her since since I started riding bulls, honestly.
17, huh?
Yeah, and she has kind of the same background with barrel racing. Nobody in her family's ever done it.
And she barrel raced.
Yeah, she did, and she's got a yearling horse now, so she's waiting for it to grow up to start riding and see how it does. It's her own, came out of her own horse, and
Okay.
her horse she has, it's the mama to it, so she won the high school finals, Tennessee high school finals, and so she's got some background. She can ride, and she's just waiting for her time to come. I tell her it's coming.
Yeah, that answers a lot of my questions. Then,
yeah,
was did she accept your lifestyle? Well, y'all grew up together with you doing it, so clearly yes.
I mean, it's kind of hard. She hasn't done it in a long time, and I get it makes her upset. It'll kind of make her a little upset. She has to watch it. But that's why I even hope for myself. I'm like, I hope whenever this horse gets bigger, I hope she has the fastest horse out here.
That's right.
She deserves it. So
yeah,
she goes everywhere with me. She supports me, and she's one of my biggest supporters.
That's awesome.
And I don't think I'd be able to ride like I could if she wasn't there with me, because she's someone I've always wanted to be with.
Yeah.
And that's really it.
Yeah. So you guys, did y'all meet at the rodeo?
No, we can't really remember how we met, but
okay.
I went to my first rodeo with her, and she was the one riding, and I was just there watching.
Isn't that something?
And then when I went to my first rodeo ever I rode in, we went together and stuff. But like I said, mainly she's been there with me for the past 4 years. She's been with me about everywhere I go. Every now and then she won't go, but she's. You
guys ever talk about kids and stuff in the future, what that looks like?
No, we people ask us, and we're like, that's not really on our mind right
You're
now.
very mature. You said you're 26, right?
Yes.
So I have a 29-year-old and a 28-year-old, and I got to tell you, at 26, even myself, I don't know that I even had been in the military, and I was on a fire department, so I don't know that I was that squared away, man.
Yeah, I mean, I got 4 nephews and 1 niece. And that's
you have a front row seat to chaos already.
They can just come hang out with me. We don't really talk about that. When people do talk about it, we just kind of change the conversation.
I understand. Well, I won't keep on the conversation then. We'll redirect at this point. I was just curious because my next thought was, are you going to at least introduce your kids to the rodeo one day?
If it was like that, I would. But if they didn't want to do it, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't make them, obviously.
It's a sport you don't make somebody do, because you can get hurt real fast not wanting to do it.
Absolutely.
And that's scary. I see people who's done that before, and it scares me more than it probably scares them, because I'm like, I don't want to see you get hurt not trying to do your best.
Yeah.
So, that'd be
you got to be engaged. You got to be focused, I would imagine.
Yeah. If they chose something else, then it is what it is.
Not a problem for you at all. Yeah. I see that. So
hopefully, something good though.
What about your nephews? Have they expressed an interest seeing Uncle Lucas?
Well, my sister lives in Alabama. They all play soccer and stuff, but she that's my half sister, so I see them every now and then. But my real sister my full sister out in North Carolina, they they really like watching me rodeo, and they want horses. They look up to it a lot.
Yeah.
And one's 9, one's 7, so somebody doing this in their family and their uncle.
Oh, it's cool, man.
It's cool to them.
I mean, I didn't know you, and having you in the studio, I was like, that's going to be pretty rad, because there's a lot of questions that I have that I figure other people would want to know, and how you get into rodeo, and what the lifestyle is like, and what the the grind is like. And so speaking of that, it does lead me to my next question, which is you mentioned how much it means to you to have those older guys mentor you a little bit. And so asking you about your nephews and stuff, do you see yourself being that mentor to the next generation of kids coming up wanting to be in a rodeo? Are you going to stay involved once your days are behind you?
Oh, I'd love to, be able to just teach guys or teach kids at a younger age to, how to do it and keep the sport alive, because it's kept growing, but, the bull riding side, it's kind of going downhill. You'll have some kids, you got some good kids coming up, but it's not like it is with everything else. So I'd like to be there and teach some kids and help them out and show them how to do it. But, it takes a lot to do that. They gotta want to. I tell them that all the time.
Look, I can tell that's true.
I can show you how to do it, and I can tell you what to do, but it's up to you. If
Absolutely.
you want to do it. So,
I teach at school. I'm a professor at college, and then I also I coach sports. Baseball and softball are the two sports I coach. And, at my age now, I feel like I am an expert in some fields. I've done them for over 30 years, whether that is baseball / coaching softball and being a paramedic. So I've been a paramedic for a very long time. So that's why I teach at school. And you're absolutely right. I have a passion for both. And I have a lot of experience and I can pass that on, but you're spot on when you say they will only get as good as they choose to. You can give them all the tools in the world, but they got to love it. They got to want it. And I will say this about teaching and coaching. And so this is just something you can put in your back pocket for now because you're still in the game, baby. Mm-hmm. But there is something about being able to pass that on to the next generation that validates all the hard work you put in. And I didn't realize that until maybe 7-8 years ago. Because in the meantime, I had been putting all that time, effort, work into me being the best version of me, whether that was in baseball, whether that was in being a paramedic and a firefighter. But the moment that transitioned and I started coaching more and I started teaching, what I realized was all those years spent of becoming the best version of that for myself is wasted if I didn't pass it on to the next generation. Right. So now whenever I have people in my classroom or I'm out on a ball field and I'm teaching the kids that, or I'm teaching my students something and I see that enthusiasm returned, it is so exciting to know that what you went through and what you did and the stuff you have to offer now is not going to die with me. It's going to live on through all of them. And then the idea that they will pass some of that on to the next generation. So I say all this, Lucas, because you're a young guy. You're still in the fray. You're still out there doing it, fighting. How many years do you think you got left?
I got to about, I probably got 4 or 5 years left in me.
Okay. So it's hard to put a timeline expiration date, but, looking at it.
I know by the time I'm done, I hope to, we just bought a piece of land, 5 acres. That came from rodeo. So now, hopefully by the time my career is done, I'll at least have everything I need to show for bull riding, because there's a lot of bull riders that ride and don't have nothing to show for. Mm-hmm. And so I at least want something to show for it. So now, I got a piece of land. I'll be able to buy some equipment to be able to do stuff around there and then hopefully build a house. And, I try and use rodeo as a job, treat it like a business, because that's what I want to do. That's where I like to be all the time on the road more than I am here, because that's where I'm making my real money, my big money at, and then, put it towards something.
Absolutely, man. I mean, that's again, the maturity level that I'm talking about. You're thinking about the future at a very young age, which is hard for a lot of kids that are in there. I say kids, but when you're in your 20s, not everybody's thinking about when I'm in my 30s. They're thinking about right now, whatever that thing is in front of them, whether it's a big, fancy, shiny car or something, whatever it is. So for you, I mean, that's great that you have that forethought and idea about what's going to come next for you. So as you move down that road, you're looking at down the road here, we're going to be getting married, you're going to have kids at some point, and you're going to have your place of land and rodeoing. What does Lucas look like in 10 years? Give me that moment.
Hopefully just a guy that, I really can't say. I don't even know where I'd be at in 10 years. I just take it day by day, honestly. That's it. I don't ever try and plan too much for the future. I'm just a one-day guy.
I would disagree a little bit. It does sound like, though, that you have your head squared where it comes to preparing, at least financially.
Right.
The forethought, but maybe not who you're going to be in 10 years.
Yeah.
You're still growing that moment.
Yeah. Like I've been 18 years old and walking around with a pocket full of cash. And, between then and now, it's a big difference. Back when I was 18, I didn't care. I just blew. I didn't know nothing about it. And then I got older and I was like, man, I kind of don't really have too much to show for.
Easy come, easy go, ain't it?
Yeah, so I got to start doing something, I was like, I don't want to, work, nothing against nobody. You got a job or something, but I don't want to be working 9 to 5 my whole life trying to pay this place off.
Oh, that goes back to the whole going through the motions thing, right? You want to be able to do the thing that you're passionate about.
Yeah,
and make a living from it.
You just want to have something to show for, too.
Sure,
you don't
have
nothing to show for it, then what was the point in doing it?
Exactly.
Or passing it down the line, what's the point in doing it?
Great point. So speaking of passing it down the line, 26-year-old Lucas, professional bull rider, what would you tell somebody that's 18, 17, just getting into it? What advice would you give them that you wish somebody could have given you?
At that time, you should be getting on big bulls, because that's what I started getting on.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you have to know it. I tell them right from the start, like, you got to try. It's your main thing. Some kids that they've gotten on for their first time at 17, 18, and I've been there, or 16 years old, and they look at me and they're like, what do I do? What's the first thing I need to do? And I'm like, you don't even know what you're going. If I tell you what to do, you're not going to know what to do when
It's a good point.
he takes off out of there, because you're going to forget everything. And I'm like, all you can do is try your hardest, and we'll go from there with it. Get on a couple bulls, see if you got the try in you, and then we can learn.
Yeah, that's it. You do have to jump in. I like to use this phrase a lot: cannonball life. You know what cannonballing is, right? I'm not talking about the ball. I'm talking about like you run, you jump off the edge of the pool. Once you're in the air, there's no turning back.
Yeah.
And you're going to figure it out in a few seconds when you hit that water.
Yeah, and you just got to figure out if you really want it.
That's right.
Because there's a line of people who want it and people who don't want it.
There's the idea of something and then the reality.
Yeah.
And the only way you know if it is a reality is if you pursue that idea. Yeah. And then once you get into it, maybe it's not for you. And that's okay too. At least now At least you know.
You know if it's for you or not.
That's right.
Something maybe somebody should try at least once in their life. You never know.
Yeah, I'm going to stick to mechanical and maybe not even that now. But I will say this. I did once say that I would try anything that was challenging, and I've done a lot. But then as I got older, I said, I will do a lot, but I'm not riding a bull.
Right. Yeah. Well, a lot of people, it's like that.
That's okay, though.
And if they don't want to, I'm like, hey,
but that's why I admire people like you.
Yeah.
Because it is it's the next level. I mean, you really gotta swallow down some fear at times, probably, I would imagine.
Oh yeah. There's times where it's days it doesn't even faze me. And there's days where I'm kind of got some butterflies in my stomach, and
that's good.
I'm like, all right, well, this is part of it.
That's the nerves, and you got to try to suppress them. So that's good stuff. So do you have social media? Do you do TikToks, Instagram? Can people find you out there?
No, just Facebook. I got a rodeo page, it's Lucas Mooningham, professional bull rider, and that's it. Just Facebook. Trying to stay away from social media. Yeah. Especially in this day and time.
Well, I figured this day and time is why people, because it is a good promoting avenue. Yeah. But you don't really need that to ride a bull.
I don't.
The bulls aren't reading it. The bulls aren't looking at your TikToks man, look at Lucas. Let's check it out. That would be cool if they did. That's probably a good commercial, but that makes sense then. So they could look at you at Facebook on your rodeo page.
Yeah, it's on there, and social media can help you get sponsors by no means.
That's true.
It really all depends if they want to pick you or not. So, in my opinion, if they want me, they
well, look, I would be interested to come into a rodeo that you're in next time you're around this area.
Trying to think.
I know that you said you're going to set up your schedule.
Right. Yeah.
Later. So.
I put a schedule on. I will put a schedule on my page every now and then if I gotta. About every month I'll put what I'm going to. Yeah. And they're on the Cowboy channel. I don't know if you have that or heard of that.
Cowboy channel.
Yeah. Well, they put all the rodeos on there.
Okay.
And some of them will be on there, some of them won't. Mainly all the big ones, but it'll be on there so you can look and you can see. And they got a Cowboy channel app to where you can watch all the ones that are on there. Sometimes all the ones that are on the app won't be on TV. So they'll all be on there.
Gotcha. I have heard of Cowboy Church.
Right. Yeah.
They have one of those down in Senatobia.
Area. Yeah. I guess they used to have one in Longtown, something like that. Down past Crenshaw.
Yeah.
Bryant Lane.
Bryant Lane, Cowboy Church. That's right. That's it. That's it.
But I always heard of it.
I think you qualify, sir. I'm just saying. You are a cowboy, right? Is there anything you would like to leave my listeners with as we wrap up here? I really do appreciate your time. Fascinating stuff. I know that you've got big things left in this world that you're going to still accomplish, and then you'll be able to pass it on to the next generation in the bull world.
Whoever sees this, just even if they don't have nothing to do with bull riding, like we said, anything in life, don't give up at it. If it gets hard, that's just part of it. Just keep going. Act like it doesn't even faze you.
That's right.
Keep a smile on your face. Keep going. Don't give up. Ain't no point. You give up, you ain't going to get nothing out of it if you give up.
Yep.
Get something out of it.
That's 100% fact. They say if you get knocked off the horse, you got to get back on it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get knocked off the bull.
You get back up and go to the next one and get on.
Get back up and get back on.
If you can walk out there on your own 2 feet, you can get on the next one.
That's right. Lucas, I can't thank you enough, man. I wish you the absolute best of luck up in Nebraska. I wish I could tell you that I know people up there in Omaha. I don't, but I have been there. And I know that is where they have the College World Series.
Yeah.
So maybe you can check out that stadium.
Yeah.
That'd be cool too.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you, and I know you're going to do some big things out there in the bull riding world, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. To my listeners, thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Look, I like to bring you a very large variety of topics and interesting guests, and my friend Lucas here definitely has an amazing story. I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes with the professional bull circuit. I'm going to ask you guys, please continue to tune in. Continue to go to my website, motivatewithcoachcamp.com. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube. And until next time, Coach Camp out.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape,